Hello everybody, Walter here. Welcome to episode 16 of my second Let's Play series for Oxygen Not Included. Now in the last episode, we upgraded the core of our base a little bit, then added an automated factory for plastic production, and a farm for oxalite generation. And today I would like to continue by first fixing a couple issues around the base, then greatly upscaling nectar production, and then hopefully also taming a couple geysers. And with that all said, it's time to get back into the game and have a look. And here we are, right at our Alveovera farm, which, once the geyser becomes active again, will start to produce our oxalite. Yeah, now as I said, it's time to fix a few issues. Now, before I get to the overheating, let's have a look over here, because I noticed during editing of the last episode that it appears I missed a conveyor rail here, which is pretty annoying if I may say so. And that is also for the sand. It's double annoying, because that means that we likely have a lot of polluted oxygen waiting in there. Since those here are waiting for the sand and no dude can reach them, this here has been collecting for a while, I suspect. Okay, that is kind of annoying. But nevertheless, that is now being fixed, so we can worry about the next issue. So if you go in the temperature overlay, you can see these here are producing a lot of heat, and that is stifling my plants over here. And over here. Now, in this area I've been putting ice on the whole thing here to cool it down, but that is obviously not a solution. Now, fixing this here probably will take a while, so for the moment I'm just going to put a radiant pipe in those two spots here in the cooling loop. That should cool this down here pretty quickly and give me time to fix this here. First, let's actually increase the priority for these two here. And then we are going to fix this over here by grabbing a insulated tile and then just lowering the floor. Because currently the thermonullifier here is actually flooded and subsequently my cooling system is offline. Which is the main reason this here is actually heating up too much. So, then with the lowered floor, I also don't need this here in insulated pipes, so normal pipes are sufficient. And once this part here is built, and I should also open this up so my tubes can actually reach all of this here, I can replace the tiles below the nullifier with mesh tiles and then get rid of the rest of this floor here. I can also add another mesh tile, let's say here. Then I can close this off like that. Now we still need access, so let's add a ladder there. I will also need a ladder there later on. We might also want to add a few more temp shift plates. So we have heat exchange with our ethanol lake here. And yeah, this is starting to look pretty good already. So hopefully once this is all done, our nullifier here will no longer be flooded and start working again. And there we go. This is exactly what I wanted to see. So now, with this cooling down again, these here should become active pretty soon, once more. Okay, now, last step, just a little bit of cleanup. And now, it's time for, well, first of all, a little addition I forgot to add last time. I also have space for a transit tube here. And here. Kind of forgot about those two. So then we will have one here, one there, and then another one in this corner here. Next up, power. I will need to bridge here. That's kind of important. And then let's increase the priority. Now for the rest of the power wire, let's go with aluminium there. I'm just going to connect it like this, and over here I'm going to extend this, then go straight up here, over there and in there. Bridge this, then get rid of these two here. And let's just speed this up a bit until a tube comes by and handles those two. So that's the first one, and that's the second one. Come on. And now I'm just going to add the missing transformer here. Okay, so that should handle this issue here. And now it's time to deal with this ranch here. And I would really like to completely encapsulate this, but that will require a little bit of reworking of the internals here. So the first step is actually moving the entire content of those ranches, except for the automation, one step to the left. With the exception of those farms here at the very bottom, which got moved a bit further and also reduced by one, because now it's finally time to feed my regal bemos with proper food. So let's put a critter feeder there. And up here we're going to start making some squash fries, which I think I already forbade my dupes from eating. Let's see. Yeah, looks good. Okay, then we will need our 2 doors here. Then let's set this here to 10 kilograms of squash fries. We can also feed one more regal behemoth with that. So that is also pretty good. Let's, for the moment though, make a bit of an opening in this floor here and add a couple ladders to the next layer, which will be an insulated area. And I'm going to insulate the entire outer border as far as I can for the moment. I suspect. Yeah, they are just about to get done with it up there. And it looks like we'll have to relocate. Oh, okay, not that one. But at least this one here. So, let's get them over there. Good. This is starting to look pretty decent. Let's increase the priority a little bit for that one. Okay, now. Next up are the transit tubes. So, for that, we are going to need our crossings. And unfortunately, I need to place them slightly above the floor. Since my original plan was to have a T-junction here, but as you can see, we can't make sharp U-turns, so I have to raise this a little bit. Which also means we need to open up the floors. A little bit. And apparently my tubes are currently taking a break, so this might take a little bit. But you get the idea. Now, since this here is going to be a completely insulated area later on, we are also going to need an oxygen inflow and carbon dioxide outflow. So, gas pump here. Just connected to the pipe over there. Then power. We'll grab from over here as well. It will also be automated with a gas sensor. And then we need a NOT gate and a filter gate. So that's that part done. Now we still need to allow for proper gas flow. So I'm just going to replace the floor here with airflow tiles. Just going to keep the corners here normal tiles, since I will have a vacuum chamber here and here to properly insulate this against the outside. So we are not running into any issues there. And yeah, somehow they managed to get caught again. Good. Then let's see. We need to connect them. Okay, this is looking pretty good, but as I said, I will have to wait a little bit until I can get the vacuum chambers here in place, because we are still very low on plastic. Yeah, we'll have to wait a little bit longer. But for now, let's concentrate on getting all of this here properly set up. And there we go. In the meantime, I've also replaced the pneumatic doors with the insulated doors that were recently introduced, which really take the time with opening and closing. But that had two negative side effects. For one, the igneous rock used was rather warm, so this is currently heating up the space, and it also separated me from the cooling loop here, so we need to get a handle on that ASAP. So for that, we are just going to run a cooling loop all the way to the bottom here, which, as you can imagine, needs a few more modifications. So that needs to be split off here and there and there. We also split this off here. Then we need to clear out these two before we connect anything else. Then, let's see, we will need a bridge here. Another bridge going down there. We can get rid of all of this here. Up here we can remove this bridge and this bridge as well. We can also remove this entire part here. This will go straight down. And then let's disconnect this one here. This should be empty. Yep. So we can go straight over and have the bridge going down here. Just going to speed this up a bit until my tubes are done with these parts here. Okay. And until the saving is done, I guess. Come. Okay, now I can replace the bridge here. I can add the bridge in the opposite direction here. We will obviously have to wait until this here is cleared out before I reconnect that part there. And then I can reconnect here. Put this off here. Reconnect there. And add another bridge here. That looks quite a bit better already. Now we have a printable. Let's have a look. We will get another dupe at a later point, but for now, let's go with the duplicate seal here. Let's move that directly into storage. And we are pretty low on fluxes. I think I'm going to put one more incubator for fluxes up, just to be on the safe side. One should be enough, but with all of the building and deactivating of those ranches due to, well, them opening up, I kind of lost a few due to old age, and those haven't been replaced yet. So that should be done ASAP. Now, down here, we also have enough plastic to get at least those junctions in place. And over here, we have just a little vacuum chamber like that. That means we will need some tiles like this and over here. And I'm just going to add a mechanized airlock in those two spots. Add a signal switch maybe here. Connect them. And then we can add a pump, and no idea why this pump is out of steel, but it needs to go anyway, so let's replace that one with a proper one. And we have another one there, and we will need a high pressure gas vent. Connecting these. And that way, once this here is gone, let's just speed up a little bit, we can then, once this is in place, and all of this here is built, close this off the tile here, and then get a proper vacuum chamber in place. So, but for now, I think we're going to concentrate on getting this cooling loop here built, and we can also reconnect here properly. Okay, that is looking good so far. Good, that's all of the plans in place. We still need to build a cooling loop though. One there, then a mesh tile below it. That allows me to fill this with nectar, and yeah, now we just need to get the cooling loop done and those two vacuum chambers done. Just like this here. And now all that's left is just interconnecting the two sides, and we are done with this build for now. Over here we can also set this here to FluxX now, and that should help filling these here up faster. Okay. Next up is upscaling the nectar production, although first, this is looking better, but I think I'm going to change the cooling loop a little bit. Just going to run this, let's say, like that. Disconnect here, and all of this here will obviously be replaced by this part there. I will need to fill this up once again though. So I'm going to put in a temporary bridge here. Furthermore, over here, we are going to need in this area 200 more bomber trees, and that is a lot of building in a vacuum. So I'm going to start with an ethno checkpoint right there. Yeah, that is enough. Then we'll have our power wire. And we need oxygen. Let's see. Cut that from here, then over there. Just a quick bridge there. Up. And in there. Okay. Then we will once again need a glass forge. Let's place that there. With a valve. Some insulated pipes and then normal pipes. We will also need power. So a power transformer, then let's say 2 batteries. Then we will finally need a bit of the floor here. And since this is going to get rather warm, we should probably replace all of those snow tiles here with normal tiles. Or we might get a few unfortunate surprises. The mercury is going to melt at some point in the future, I suspect as well. So anyway, for the moment this is looking good. And yeah, once this here is all built, I can start on planning out the farm, which I already did here in part. I can't look far enough yet to actually build all of the tiles, but this here is already around 160 farm tiles, and I'm going to need about 200, so I'm just going to continue until we hit the building limit, I guess. For that though, we are going to need to separate this into proper rooms. And those need to be accessible. I'm just going to add a ladder here. Then on this side here, I can just build normal tiles to close this off, basically. And over here, since I need the light to travel through the entire thing still, I'm going to go with mesh tiles all the way to the side there. And I'm also going to add a storage bin in each of those layers here, so we can get the bomber tree seeds in here. And then finally we're also going to need a liquid pipe going from here and then just twigging its way to all of those hydroponic farms until we hit the very top, which we can't see yet, but I'm just going to continue with all of this here until we hit the very top of this map here. Okay, so about 20 cycles later, we are not yet done here, as you can see, but we have at least reached the top of the map here. So for the moment, I have planned out the entire layout, in case you're wondering why this is overhanging here. That way I can later on, once I'm done with rocketry and whatever I want to do in this area, I can just continue over here without having to get rid of any of the Momo trees that are in the layer below. But the main reason I stopped here is because we got a surprise achievement. So let's see what this is about. Pulling back the veil. Reveal 80% of the map by exploring outside the starting biome. In hindsight, not too much of a surprise, but nevertheless, nice to have. And yeah, with that said, it's time to continue with building all of this here, although I might as well use the opportunity to plan out a little bit more. So this top layer here will be cooled via a pipe going through the glass tiles, just in case any of the meteorites that come down are too warm. I'm not sure about the average temperature of those, so for later I'm just going to prepare this pipe here in advance. And a quarter century later, we're finally done with all of this here, which means we can make our way down to the glass forge, which I already set to the amount we need. And I just need to now reconnect the power. Now, while we're waiting on our dupes for that, let's get rid of the storage here, and let's open up our Oxalite farm, which, as you can see, is already running since the carbon dioxide geyser became active a few dozen cycles ago. But we have a little bit of an issue here, because we don't use up all of the carbon dioxide that is being produced by the geyser, so we get overpressure, and this here only works up to 10 kilograms per tile. So we will have to make a slight modification to the setup here. Which means we are going to need a gas pump in there. That will require, obviously, power. And automation in the form of an atmo sensor. And you can also see we have some iron again, since the metal volcanoes became active. And then once the saving is done, we can get to the pipes. And I think I'm just going to run this pipe all the way to down here. And connect it to this pipe here, since there will only be carbon dioxide in that aforementioned pipe. But then we will have to make a few minor modifications here, so I'm just going to run this down there. At the bridge here, here, and up here. And that is the wrong way. Like that. Then I just need to make sure the whole thing here empties out before I get in there with the missing pipe segments. And done! For now I think 9 kilograms per tile are a good threshold for the pump here, so that is finished. I've also closed off the top again. And over here you can see I've added a little bit of cold polluted water from a molten temp shift plate. Which is going to be quite useful to cool down the molten glass here to a temperature where it won't stifle the future bomb trees, since those tend to have the same temperature as the glass tile they are connected to, and I can already see these here have warmed up a little bit too much, so I had to counter this a little bit. But as I said, for the moment we are just going to wait until all of those here have been filled. And in the meantime, we have a little bit of plastic again. We might as well get started on our network here. So let's just connect them down like this, and then there. That's this side done. Then over here we will have to get rid of this one here, and then this one here. And I just noticed I will have to move this over. Since I don't think we will be able to actually get this done. No. We don't have the ability to get a T-junction that is small enough here in place. I think. For a moment. This will have to be enough there. Then we can get rid of this one here. And also this one here. Then we can replace this tile. And reconnect there. Over here we can go like that. And then we can make our way over to this spot here, and we are getting pretty low already. Up to there, and then up to here, and that is basically all I can do for the moment. And I totally forgot to actually add some automation in here. So let me quickly copy this down. Since, yeah, these here are outside of the range of this auto sweeper. That needs to be fixed. Then we have our power wire. And on that subject, I also added a little bit of power wire here, powering the transit tube access, which is already in use, so occasionally we see our dupes running around with it, and it might actually have triggered the next achievement already. Okay, that was pretty quick. Totally Tubular have duplicants travel 10,000 meters by transit tube. Yeah, that definitely was pretty quick. So, yeah, nice to see this in use. On the downside, this also means that we are going to need a lot more power than up to this point, so we really need to get more power production going. but that will be something for a later episode, I would say. So now, let's get this here built. And here we go. Now, with that done, let's have a look at the top here. So we are apparently done. Let's see. Okay, the last bit of glass is on its way. Okay, it was a little bit of a pause there, but let's see. Okay, this is not filled. Okay, this is already filled. Okay, good. This is definitely the last one, so we can now actually get started on cleaning up. So for one, we don't need the power anymore. And we also don't need this setup here anymore. This can also go. We might want to actually include a little bit of cooling for the future because this is still all rather warm. We will have to cool this down a bit more. But what we definitely don't need anymore is most of the piping, at least up to this point here. And once this here has traveled a bit further, I'm going to remove all of those pipes here piece by piece and then obviously sweep up all of the debris before I empty all of those here to create my nice glass tiles. And just about a dozen cycles later, we have now started planting, which is going to take a decent chunk of time. And in case you're wondering what melted, that was a temp shift plate here for the cooling, because you can see these here are still overheated. And I definitely need to get the temperature down for all of this here to work. Now, looking at the clock, we won't be able to tame another geyser, but at least I should be able to, maybe at least, finish with this transit tube network over here. Except I kinda ran out of plastic once more. Nevertheless, this is not too much and should be done relatively soon. Now let's have a look at our pips up here. I have put a decent number in there and they are already, as you can see, busy planting. Although some of those here will have to be cooled down. I'm not entirely sure where they are getting all of this heat from. But we'll worry about that at a later point once all of this here is planted. And yeah, with that in mind, I think we've reached a good point to stop with the episode here. We've managed to heat-proof this area here and this area here, which was the most important part. Put in a transit tube network, at least for the most part. Finished this one here and also got a lot done in this area here for this mega nectar farm. Right here. And that brings us to the actual end of this episode here. Now, next time we're definitely going to work on taming some geysers and maybe some of the story traits, but we'll have to see. Nevertheless, as I said, we've reached the end of this episode here. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and comment if you did so. It really helps the channel. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day, and well, see ya.